Hello everyone and welcome back to the Emperor BTC channel. Today's video is going to be a quick BTC market update video. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So in our previous market update video, we had this sharp drop down towards this 85k region. We were anticipating potentially that we would get back up into this region, which would provide a short setup to head back down towards this range low. Of course, this hasn't happened. We actually got a retest of this range low on this candle low, which then pushed us up into this area, which was quite a nice confluence area, given we had relative equal highs at the range highs. And then, of course, this purple line, which is the yearly open. So if we drop down to the 1 hour time frame, you can see we had this sharp drop. And when you get a sharp drop like this, it tends to fall through the books very quickly. So you don't get any trading in this area, which leads to a market inefficiency. So we then got this retracement, filled in all the efficiency, and then we got into this region. We were waiting for the confirmation, maybe where price would shift on the lower time frame, giving us a setup. That didn't occur, so we didn't get the trigger for the trade setup, even though we did acquire some spot positions down this 85k region. If you check my Twitter page, we then got into these equal highs, which just tends to mean that there's liquidity residing above this area in the form of buy stops. We then got above this area. We got a short-term retest of this key SNR zone. We pushed back up, short-term raid the previous high, in and around again this yearly open mark, and then we shifted back down, and there was a potential short setup down back towards this low. So the price action isn't really the clearest. You can see that we are starting to put in some higher highs and higher lows, but then the higher time frame price structure is still very much to the downside, although we are starting to get some sort of consolidation in this region and in and around the key SNR zone. You can see as of today we have taken out Monday's low, which does tend to be quite a high probability setup when we move from Monday's low to Monday's high, which then potentially could lead to a high of the week. Of course, there is this high at this range high that could be taken out as well if we do push on, which then could maybe lead to an expansive move to the downside and we continue this chop. There's no real high probability setup here, in my opinion, from a directional bias standpoint, where previously it was quite aggressively to the downside. So all you really had to do was short any sort of retracement and you could, of course, profit. Since about this region on this retracement, that has stopped, even though we did get this sharp move, which I potentially thought would lead to a continuation back down to a lower low. That, of course, hasn't occurred, and we've started pushing back up, and we are very much in this range. So there's a couple of setups that could form here now. As I said, we have the Monday range play, where you also have a nice confluence with the range high that we extended across, which could be another, I guess, similar to this setup here on the lower time frame. So again, a fractal price pattern where you have these range highs. So this range high here on the lower time frame, then you get deviation outside of the range. So here we have deviation outside of the range, and then drop back down into the range as we have on this higher time frame range. We did that on the lower time frame. We got some support. Here we have some support, and now we are pushing back up, back towards range highs as we are here at the moment. So potentially we could come up here for a 3-tap setup of this range. So we have this high, deviation, and then potentially we get this Monday range low gets taken out. We then push up towards Monday's high. We get above it. So taking out Monday's high, and then we could potentially get that 3-tap setup, drop back down, and then that is the short setup back towards these relatively equal lows that are all untagged. So I think there is, maybe as I did say previously, there is a high percentage chance that we could consolidate between this 85k region and the yearly open for maybe a couple of weeks. And I think trading the range at the moment, rather than looking for any higher time frame expansive moves, might be the easiest play. So for me at the moment, the setup I am watching would be as I just described there, waiting for Monday's range to play out. You potentially look for some longs in here at the moment. So say we drop down to the 15-minute time frame, we have this Monday's low being taken out. We pushed up, could potentially see if we find support here on this retracement to look for the next leg up, and then hopefully get some price action like this until we get into this area where, as I described, the higher time frame setup, where potentially we get up here, deviate above Monday's high, get this 3-tap on this higher time frame range high, which is this black line, and then that would be the short setup entry there if we were to get it. So that's all for today's BTC market update video. Just wanted to be a short, quick one, given the previous one was so long. In the next couple of days, I'll be doing our altcoin market update video on ETH and Solana. So make sure you keep an eye out for that one. And I'll see you guys in the next one.